I'll declare this special council meeting of the town of Victoria Park is open. I'd like to begin with an acknowledgement of the traditional owners. Nunjarapan Wajak Noongar Budja Yakan Nidja Bilya Barduk. I am honoured to be standing on Wajak Noongar country on the banks of the Swan River. Nankadach Noongar Mort Ken Kadak Nidja Wajak Noongar Budja. Nankadach Nidja Noongar Brudia Kora Yeye. Border Balapan Mordich Noongar Kadajan Mort Where Budjan Yeye. I acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land and respect past, present and emerging leaders, their continuing cultural heritage, beliefs and relationship with the land, which continues to be important today. Nanyunka Balapan Noongar Brudia Where Mort Nidja Budja. I thank them for the contribution made to life in the town of Victoria Park and to this region. Item 2 on the agenda is announcements from the presiding member. 2.1, recording and live streaming of proceedings. In accordance with Regulation 14I of the Local Government Administration Regulations 1996, this meeting is being audio and video recorded and live streamed on the town's website. Under Clause 39(1) of the Meeting Procedures Local Law 2019, I do not give permission for any other person to record the proceedings of this meeting. By being present at this meeting, members of the public consent to the possibility that their image and voice may be live streamed to the public. Recordings are also made available on the town's website following the meeting. 2.2, public question time and public statement time. As this is a special council meeting, any public questions or statements must relate to the business of the agenda. There are guidelines that need to be adhered to in our council meetings, and during question and statement time, people speaking are not to personalise any questions or statements about elected members or staff or use any possible defamatory remarks. In accordance with Clause 40 of the Meeting Procedures Local Law, a person addressing the Council shall extend due courtesy and respect to the Council and the processes under which it operates, and shall comply with any direction by the presiding member. A person present at or observing a meeting shall not create a disturbance at a meeting by interrupting or interfering with the proceedings, whether by expressing approval or dissent, by conversing or by any other means. When the presiding member speaks during public question time or public statement time, any person then speaking is to immediately stop, and every person present is to preserve strict silence so that the presiding member may be heard without interruption. As per our usual practice, there is a limit of 3 questions per person and 2 minutes allocated for statements. No adverse reflection. In accordance with Clause 56 of the Meeting Procedures Local Law, both elected members and the public, when speaking, are not to reflect adversely on the character or actions of elected members or employees. Item 3, attendance. We have all bar 2 elected members in attendance. We have apologies from Councillor Minson and Councillor Hamer. We also have an apology from the CEO, who's been unexpectedly delayed and is unlikely to get here through the duration of this meeting. So on that basis, we have the Chief Community Planner, Mr Doy, is seated beside me this evening instead of in his usual seat. We also have joining a number of the town staff this evening. We have external attendance from the town's advisors, Taylor, Burrell, Barnett. Item 4 is declarations of interest. Mr Acting CEO, do we have any declarations of interest, please?
Thank you, Mayor Vernon. Yes, we do have one declaration with regards to tonight's item, which is from you, Mayor Karen Vernon. The interest is an impartiality interest. The reason: I have had communications with the applicant about this application regarding the interface with Lot 7 and participated in a meeting with town staff, the WAPC and the applicant regarding Lot 7. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr Doy. Are there any other declarations of interest that anyone needs to make in relation to this matter? No? All right, thank you. Go to item 5, which is public question time, which I'll now open at 5:34 p.m. and ask, are there any questions from members of the public? No, there being no indication of any questions, I'll close public question time at 5:34 p.m. Item 6 on the agenda is public statement time, which I'll now open at 5:34 p.m. and ask, is there anyone in the public gallery who wishes to make a statement about this item? Yes, you do, sir. Please come forward. If we can ask you to state your name and your suburb, please. As I said at the outset, we normally have a 2-minute limit for statements. However, since you happen to be the only person in the public gallery this evening, I can be a little bit more generous with the timing if you need more time to make your statement.
Well, thank you, Mayor, and lucky me. My name is Steve Allarding. My business address is 125 Hammersley Road, Subiaco. There's only one item tonight, so I don't think I need to refer to the item number, but this statement today relates to an email that I sent to all councillors yesterday and earlier today. Since yesterday, we note that the officers have now put forward a new recommendation for a deferral and not part approval. So we support that recommendation, provided that the applicant has given an assurance that it is willing to undertake that additional work, and the applicant has agreed to defer the item from the DAP. If the applicant doesn't commit to that extra work, we believe there are very strong planning grounds as to why the application should be refused, because the significant traffic issues that have been identified by the town's officers themselves are just simply unresolved. The applicants have had a significant period of time to deal with these traffic issues and have been notified in advance of them by the town's officers. Despite this, the applicant has continued to advocate for proposals that are not accepted by the town and where their assessment remains inadequate to support their proposals. And these are matters that we say are not suitable to be conditioned because they are really fundamental to determine whether or not the land use is capable or not of approval being granted. If the councillors are still contemplating the idea of the earlier recommendation being considered to part approve it, I would just ask the councillors to have a look at page 37 of the RA. The officers' own conclusions on traffic are very clear. It's very clear that the officers aren't satisfied that there won't be an impact on the road network. And in relation to the consideration under the Clause 67 regulations of the planning regulations, it's also clear that they are unable to conclude that traffic matters are satisfactorily addressed. Where we differed from the officers' recommendation is that other than traffic, they had suggested in that earlier recommendation that the town effectively endorse the proposal and allow the officers to separately resolve the traffic matters outside of council before reporting to the DAP. And respectfully, we believe that was the wrong approach because it fails a fundamental obligation that we say exists for a decision maker to properly consider all of those matters under the planning regulations. And that, of course, would include the traffic matters which are under clauses 67 S and T, which the officers themselves have acknowledged in their report have not been met. So we say it's a question of orderly and proper planning, and we don't believe it's possible for the town to make a positive determination in whole or in part. That would be an orderly or proper one. And in the absence of those matters being addressed up front, involving some further community consultation and the application being separately determined by council at a later meeting. But this relies on the applicant committing to undertake that additional work and to defer the DAP item. So thank you for your consideration, and if there were any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Thank you, Mr. Allardine. Our meeting procedures, local law doesn't permit us to ask questions of those who make statements. Had you been presenting a deputation, then by all means we would have asked if elected members had questions for you. But unfortunately it's not part of public statement time, but thank you for your statement. You are right, there's only one item on the agenda, so hopefully we'll get to that pretty shortly. So there being no other members of the public gallery indicating an intention to make a statement, I'll close public statement time at 5:39 p.m. Item 7 on the agenda is presentations. 7.1 petitions, we have none. 7.2 presentations, there are none. 7.3 deputations, there are none. Item 8, method of dealing with agenda business, we have none. Item 9 is council reports. There's only one council report, which is 9.1, development application for proposed shops, including supermarket, restaurant, cafe and childcare premises at numbers 1022 to 1032 Albany Highway and numbers 355 to 357 Shepparton Road, East Victoria Park, being lots 1, 8, 30, 131, 132, 480, 481, 488 and 502. Now, in relation to this matter, just for the benefit of those who are listening or maybe viewing this meeting at a later date, an amended officer recommendation was published yesterday, the 13th of May, I think that's right. in relation to this matter, and that amended officer recommendation appears relevantly at pages 2 to 3 of the published special council meeting agenda. As we come to this item, I wish to move an alternate motion, the content of which has been shared with elected members this afternoon. Seek to test that alternate motion ahead of the officer's recommendation. The alternate motion is that Council A note the draft responsible authority report at attachment 1, B defer consideration of DA 5.2024.212.1 pending the submission and assessment of additional information addressing the outstanding traffic issues identified in the draft responsible authority report at attachment 1, C request that following the submission and assessment of the additional traffic information, the matter be reported back to Council to consider a recommendation to the Development Assessment Panel, and D request FABCOT to continue discussions with the State in regard to the relationship between the development site and Lot 7. The reason for moving this alternate motion is to acknowledge the applicant's written agreement dated 14 May 2025 to provide additional information addressing the outstanding traffic issues identified in the draft responsible authority report at attachment 1. Can I seek, please, in the usual way, using Docs on Tap, a seconder for my alternate motion? That's been seconded, I understand, by Councillor Cruiser. I don't wish to be heard in relation to this matter. I think the reason for moving the alternate motion is fairly straightforward. Councillor Cruiser is the seconder of the alternate. Do you wish to be heard? No? All right. So notwithstanding that we all look rather odd, new look for us, I'm going to formally ask, is there any dissent? Because if there is, we'll need to move to debate with regard to the alternate motion. No, not seeing any indication of dissent. So on that basis, I'm going to declare the alternate motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone, with regards to that. Item 10 on the agenda is public question time, which I now open at 5:42 p.m. and ask, is there any member of the public gallery who wishes to ask a question? There being none, I close public question time at 5:42 p.m. Item 11 on the agenda is public statement time for the second time, which I now open at 5:42 p.m. and ask, is there anyone who wishes to make a public statement? Only gallery member is indicating no, so I'll close that at 5:43 p.m. Item 12 is matter for which the meeting may be closed to the public. There are no matters for which the meeting may be closed for the public, and so at 5:43 p.m. I declare the special council meeting is closed. Thank you. Thank you everyone for attending. Good evening.